Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of the Centurion Lounge podcast. I am your host, Captain William Stroud, and with me is Staff Sergeant Jean-Baptiste Kanangwe, my co-host. And today we have an extra special guest for everyone, and that is our very own HHC Company Commander, Captain Johnnie Jackson. Johnnie, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's a pleasure to have you on board, man. Hey, thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule. As a commander, I know you have a lot of things going on a regular basis, so thank you for coming out and supporting us. So just to kick things off, man, I want to talk a little bit about your background, get into a little bit about who you are, what made you, Captain Jackson. So with that, I'll open the floor to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thank you. I appreciate what you all are doing. This podcast is beautiful. It's something that we need, especially just being able to have a platform and just voice, the messaging to, our soldiers and our future soldiers. This is great. A little bit about me. I'm from Alexandria, Virginia, right? The DMV area. So I went to college at Old Dominion University. That's in Norfolk, Virginia. Studied in finance. And then after I graduated from Old Dominion University, I had my first job in San Diego. So that's what brought me to California. I was a financial analyst at Beck & Dickinson. I was there for about 2 years in San Diego. During that time, I was actually assigned to the 311 ESC. I was the second lieutenant. I was actually in the G8. I was a finance officer. And then eventually I transferred I got a new job at Northrop Grumman. And then once I got to Northrop Grumman, that's when I actually really my military career began to speed up when I was actually at the 311 ESC. So outside of work, outside of going to school, I'm a big LeBron fan.
Yeah.
So you'll catch me at the Staples Center a lot. I'm gonna see LeBron do his thing at 40. He's still putting in work. I like to work out. So I actually live in Inglewood. So there's a nice gym called Iconics right near SoFi. Yeah. The best gym I've been to, all for $100 a month.
I thought you were at Equinox.
I was at Equinox.
Oh, you gave up on Equinox?
I retired Equinox.
He got rid of those.
That was a car payment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that was a car payment.
It was a car payment. Yeah, I had to get rid of Equinox. Iconics is closer to my house too.
Jesus. Ooh.
Yeah, so I go to the gym a lot. What else do I do?
Tell me you like to go to the, how do you call that, stand-up comedy show?
Oh, yeah, comedy. I love comedy. I went to go see Cat Williams.
Oh, was he here?
Yeah. I went to go see Cat Williams. I went to go see Dave Chappelle. He was at the Hollywood Bowl, I think, last year. What else? Yeah, I like the comedy shows. I like eating out at restaurants. That's one thing I love about LA. They have the best restaurants.
So many, man.
I mean, anything you want, Mexican food, Chinese food, Italian food.
Any time of the day.
Authentic and it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like rooftop vibes too. I like coffee shops. Coffee shops have been my new thing lately. I like the coffee shops. It's a good place to network and meet new people.
So what's your family like?
My family, yeah. So I have 2 older sisters. So I'm the baby of the group.
Okay.
They live in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
I go see them often. I just got back from seeing them for Christmas. So that was good. My mom and my grandmother, they live in Florida.
Okay.
They came to Dallas with us too for Christmas. My father passed away.
Yep.
And my grandmother. That's really all I have right now. Yeah, spend time with my girlfriend.
How long y'all been together?
It's going on 4 years now.
What's it like being in the military? So I haven't been in a relationship in the military long term. Kay has, but what's it like for you?
Honestly, it's good. It's good. We live together. We got a house together. She's focused on her purpose. I'm focused on my purpose, and then that's the beauty of it. Because then when you know that she's in line with her mission and her walk of life, and I'm in line with my walk of life. Yeah. So the in-between time where we're actually able to coordinate and make time for each other is even more special. It's almost like, wow, I'm gonna enjoy this moment, right? Because it's more important to me now, as opposed to, just somebody that you just always see every day. So
for sure. What does she do?
She's a travel nurse.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So she make good money.
Oh, she make great money.
You can just stay at home. Yeah.
I don't know about all that.
Before the podcast, we talked a little bit about, your background in growing up in Virginia with your dad, who was a Marine. And I'm always bad with the Marine ranks because it's a little bit different, but he's the E8, right? So I would assume is a Master Gunnery Sergeant? Is that what that is?
Master Sergeant E8. Yeah.
Master Sergeant E8. And you said that was down near Quantico. But you talked about how inspirational your father was in your early childhood development, and then leading into ultimately your decision to join the military and the Army. Can you talk a little bit about that? What that was like growing up with him?
Yeah, absolutely. So my father Great man. He actually inspired me to join the military. So when he was actually stationed at Quantico, I would go with him on base to work with him. And he would just take me around the base, just show me basically everything that he was doing. And the people that I met while I was with him, they always tell me how much my father made an impact on them. And I just grew to love the admiration and respect that they gave him. And the conversation that I had with these individuals, you could just tell that it stemmed way beyond just the job, right? He was actually inundated with their personal lives. They even tell me that he's impacted their lives in so many ways that you just don't know. And that's what inspired me to actually join the military, because I want to have that effect on others as well.
Right.
Yeah. So as a kid growing up, he would always plant seeds. You know, one of the biggest seeds that he planted for me is, he said, "Look, son, in life, you know, you're born looking like your parents, but you're gonna die looking like the decisions you make." And that stuck to me, because I was like, "Hey, Dad, what do you mean by the decisions I make?" He was like, "Your doorway to your destiny is based on the decisions that you make in life. So make sure you're not distracted." He said, "The same way tired people need rest, distracted people need focus."
Nice.
Yeah, so that stuck with me. And those are some of the key quotes, key notes that my father left with me as I move on throughout my journey in my life.
So you ultimately decided to join ROTC program, right? And back home in Virginia. Did you want to do enlisted first, or did you kind of always want to be officer, or to, follow in the legacy of your father's footsteps? What was that like for you to make that ultimate decision on which path to go?
Well, the decision for me was I was going to go to college.
Yeah.
So during the time frame, I really didn't see it as enlisted an officer. I really at that point, I just saw it as like, I just want to serve and be a leader, because in a sense, my father was a leader and he wasn't an officer. So during that time, I was young. I really didn't understand the difference, but I knew I wanted to go to college.
Right.
So going to college, that was just a good platform for me to utilize to actually transition into the military. And at that time, the Army, they were offering me a 3-year scholarship.
Yeah.
My dad's a Marine. He wanted me to become a Marine. But I'm like, "Look, Dad, they're not paying me to go to school." And I was like, "I don't mind doing it. Are you going to pay for it?" You know what I mean? And of course, he was like, "You good. You good. Be an officer in the Army."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I decided to do. And I actually have pictures of, when I actually had my first commission, my first salute went to him. So, yeah. So he just, helped me out throughout my journey, supported me, and I'm happy to be here today.
Do you think he's been the person that has had the biggest impact in your life?
Absolutely. My father is the biggest person that had the biggest impact on my life. It's just unfortunate that he's gone now, but I mean, again, he's just instilled so many principles in me. And one of the things that I want to harp on today is the ability that we all need to focus, right?
Yep.
The ability to remain focused, because one of the things that he did make clear to me as a kid, right? He said, "Son, pain will come, suffering will come, betrayal will come, heartbreak will come. But the biggest thing that you need to do is learn how to remain focused." Because at the end of the day, the people who make and the people who don't are the people who could remain focused.
Absolutely.
So those are the key things that he taught me. And he gave me a few skills to help me develop and grow through those trials and tribulations and challenges in my life. They didn't manifest prior till I got a little bit older because, at that time I was like 18, 19. But as I look back and I look at where I am today, it resonates with me now.
For you, what were those distractions?
When I first moved to LA, again, I told you I was a financial analyst at BD, and I was still part of the Army Reserve as a finance officer. I was 24 in LA.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's the life, right?
It's the life. It's the lifestyle. It's crazy, especially new coming from Virginia, not really having, being in that kind of environment where, things are open late. I'm meeting new friends in certain areas that I never met before, going out, partying.
And you live in Hollywood.
And I live in Hollywood.
You live in Hollywood, bro.
I'm with the stars. I'm seeing people I've never seen before. The people I see on TV that I never thought I'd be able to touch, meet, greet. It's a lot to take on as a 24-year-old. So some of the things that I was doing, I wasn't focused, right? They were distractions. And it wasn't until my commander, which was during the time, was Michael Ashburn. He's a major now. I came to battle assembly late, right? My supervisor at the time was Captain Lou. He's Major Lou now. I would have to go to Major Lou and say, hey, I'm late. I just overslept. My apologies. It won't happen again. He'll take me to go see the HHC commander. We'll both sit down. Long story short, the first time I was late, it was a warning. All right. Left that day. This was a 3-day BA. It's a 3-day BA, y'all. I can't make this up. The second day, I'm late. Can't make this up.
From partying the night before?
From partying the night before.
Yeah.
Second day, I'm late. I'm like, man, I was just late yesterday. He might not give me a pass today. Went to go see my supervisor. Went to go see the HHC commander at the time, Captain Ashburn. He's like, you're late again? I'm like, yes. My apologies. Didn't mean to be late. I'll do better. At this point, there's no more excuses. Like, so I ended up writing a 1-page paper on the importance of being on time. Right. The third day, came late. And at this point, they were all fed up with me. You know what I mean? But one thing I can appreciate is the fact that Major Ashburn during that time, for whatever reason, he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself during that time, but he still believed in me. And it goes back to that conversation that we had earlier. So because I had that experience, he allowed me to, you know what, I think there's something more in Johnnie that he just doesn't know, or maybe he's just distracted, lack of guidance, whatever it is. But from that day forward, he literally just took me underneath his wing, and he started giving me tasks to do outside of Battle Assembly Weekend. The first task I'll never forget, I had to actually run a range at Camp Pendleton. So that actually required me to actually take time out of my civilian job or my day-to-day job to actually coordinate with him and go take the exam during that time frame. He had to take an exam at Camp Pendleton. Help me coordinate that, take the exam. I ran the range for that following BA. Then after that following BA, this was during the time where we were set for deployment. And he had mentioned, hey, look, I'm looking for an XO. I need one. I'm just letting you know, I was a lieutenant at the time. He was like, your name's in the hat, you know? And I was like, okay. Long story short, became his XO. And then once I became his XO, I just made a decision that, hey, I'm gonna give 100% to this, and I'm not gonna allow anything to distract me. I'm gonna remain focused and be the best I can be in that position. Because I was in that position and I was operating at 100% capacity, that door opened up so many other doors where I became the XO. I deployed. While I was deployed, I got called to be the aide, opened that door, came back from deployment. General Del Rosso left. General Dreska came in. He said, hey, I need an aide. I want you. General Dreska calls me Action Jackson because he knows like at that point as an aide, I knew how to make things happen. And then again, because I was in the right position, another door opened, and now I'm the commander of the 311 ESC HHC. It's just crazy how everything comes back full circle. Because I was in position and I remained focused.
So talking about being late, how did you overcome that? How did you overcome that to become actually good at being on time?
So that's a twofold answer. So the first part, you got to tell yourself, you got to make a decision. You got to make a decision. I'm going to make the decision that I'm going to be all I can be. I'm going to be on time, right? That's what you got to tell yourself first. So that's the inner work. And the crazy thing is once you decide that you're going to do that, your subconscious automatically tells your body it's time to get up. That's the first part. And then the second part for the time management, you just got to get skills. You get abreast on time management app. I use this app called Motion that helps me lay out my schedule. And some of the tasks that I can't do, it automatically uses AI to fill it in slots where I may have potential free time where I can knock it out if I miss it during that time frame.
So one thing we talked about before was we talked about Army values, kind of like which one kind of really meant the most to you, and one that you said was integrity. Why is that one the one that kind of resonates with you the most?
Right. So Army definition, integrity, doing what's right, morally and legally. But for me, it's a little bit bigger, right? It's all right. Can we say integrity is being honest with yourself, right? Integrity is also understanding where you currently are. We're not going to exaggerate about where we are. We're going to be honest about where we are. And it's okay to be honest with others about where we are.
It seems like you've had the right mentors and leaders, your father being integral early in your life. Were there any guiding principles that they kind of laid out for you, or things that maybe you kind of developed over time using what they already gave you and what you use today? Is any guiding principles that you have for your life?
Yeah, guiding principle for me is focus. That's number one.
Yep.
Two, to me, it's a subsidiary of focus, because I think once you're focused, discipline will come, right? To be resilient, that will come, right? Because when you're focused, you're disciplined. You're not worried about this. You're not allowing distractions to interfere with where you're trying to go and the mission you're trying to accomplish. All right. Resilience, dealing with betrayal, dealing with heartbreak, dealing with pain. You have to be resilient. And how are you tested to see if you're resilient or not?
How did you incorporate your those principles to keep you, level-headed throughout?
Then that's the thing. So the beauty of it is you don't know until you go through it. For me, my person, like losing my father is my biggest thing. That was the number one person that I had in my life.
Right.
I grew up with my father. I lived with my father. It was just me and my father. So when I lost him, independence, right? I had to learn how to operate on my own. But my father gave me the skill sets and all the tools that I needed to be successful. I just had to believe that I can do it, And even though I was doing it, I can get discouraged at times, right? And then at times when you're being discouraged, you also have to understand that, hey, this is part of the process. There's going to be times where you're going to be discouraged. There's going to be times where you feel like you can't do it. But more than anything, you have to remain focused, right? Because that's what's going to really push you through it. It's focus, and then just my faith, just believing in God and going to church and just pushing through. So that's what really got me to where I am.
What has life been like for you being in LA as a TPU soldier in the reserves?
Okay, yeah, I love it. I'm gonna be honest with you, because now that I'm in a different phase of focus now, where like I'm actually doing three things right now. I'm in school. I'm getting my master's degree right now in project management at USC.
Okay.
I work at a civilian at Northrop Grumman, contracts and acquisitions, and then I'm also a commander, right? So my schedule is filled, but I enjoy it because it just tests my focusness.
Right.
I don't even know if focusness is a word.
It sounds like we on Wicked or something.
You know what I mean? But again, like I think that's the growth, right? That's how I measure my growth and where I am in life is, okay, Father told me to remain focused.
Yep. There's
been times where hey, is this too much?
Yeah.
Can I do all this? But I also do believe that God wouldn't give me anything I couldn't handle.
Yeah.
So, I'm doing it. Even by me questioning it, I'm doing it in the present. Yeah. So it is something that I can do. My biggest thing in life right now is just dedicating myself to God and following my purpose, right? And I think once you align those two things together, you'll make time for everything else. It's like almost everything else falls in place.
Sure. What is your purpose?
My purpose is to lead others.
Yeah.
To be completely honest with you, now as I grow in my spiritual realm, it's also my purpose to bring people who are asleep, make them awake, and bring them back to God. I truly believe that's my end state, my end focus that God has placed on my life. So the problem that we run into in today's society, distracted people distracts people. And focused people, focus people.
Focus people.
Remember, my career alone, 24, I'm distracted. Somebody that's focused, my commander, guess what he did? Hey, you need to get focused. He put me in a position. Once I assumed that position, I'm focused. I made a decision that I'm going to give 100% to this position I'm currently in, right? What are decisions? Decisions is the doorway to your destiny, right? So for me, right, faith-based leadership.
Yep.
There's a destiny and purpose that God has for each and every one of us in this room, right? I'm going to call it the devil. You don't have to call it the devil. Opposition, intuition, whatever you want to call it. That thing cannot stop you from what God has for you. But he can distract you. And that distraction is going to take time away from what God wants you to be, or even just all the things that God wants you to receive in his life. So it's slowly giving you a slow death.
If you parallel the two, right, like your civilian career versus your reserve career, right? Do you feel like that the distractions are are kind of equal across the board, or do you feel like that there's a pool more so in one than the other?
So when we talk about distractions, right? Distractions are something that's pulling you away from your destiny, right? I think what you're referring to is what we call interruptions, right? There's interruptions, right? They're both aligning me to my purpose, but at this point, I just gotta there's a conflict here, right? My civilian job and as well as my military job.
Yeah.
So there has been times where I'm on a civilian job and I get a phone call from my first sergeant. That's an interruption, right? The purpose of the interruption is not to distract me. It's just, hey, we need to focus a little bit more in this area right now because there's some dire needs that needs to happen in order for us to successfully fulfill X, Y, and Z, right? I'll take time away to handle that interruption until I have enough, until it's complete for me to get back to the focus that I was currently working on.
On what side of the house do you feel like you have more interruptions, on your civilian side versus your military side, or do you feel like it's kind of the same?
Definitely military side, just demands more. You got to think about it. I'm a full-time command. Well, I'm not even a full-time commander. I'm a part-time commander, but it feels like a full-time commander position. So my civilian job, honestly, I have a good understanding. I already synchronized with my team.
Yeah.
And the way I can lead my civilian job is a lot different than the military. Military is more hands-on because I'm more so developing soldiers. On my civilian side, those people are already developed. You know, we're all equally yoked. We're just adding value to the mission or the actual statement of work that we're working on.
How do you see your civilian experience working with people that are fully developed? How does that complement the way you, or does that bring any value on your leadership skills and how you deal with a soldier as a commander?
Oh, absolutely. So on the civilian side, for me personally, right, they're really good at, I work at Northrop Grumman, right, aerospace company. So compliance is a big thing, right? Adhering to regulations and standards. In the military, we got to adhere to regulations and standards, right? That's already a plus. They do a lot of data analytics. So they use a lot of data-driven. They're data-driven for the decision-making. And I look at the data for the military. Sometimes it's not as straightforward because there's other factors that we have to consider. But that is another thing I can consider in making those decisions. And I know how to pull and extract the right data to make the right decision or just escalate it up to the CG so he can make that decision. In regards to the soft skills, civilian is very different because there's a certain level of respect and admiration we have for each other. As you know, in the military, it's different because it's really about authority. Like who has the authority, but there's still a certain level of respect and admiration that I think the leader should have for the subordinates and the subordinates for the leader. But that is cultivated based on the relationship that you have with that individual person. So that's what makes it important in the civilian side because my relationships drive, my leadership skills. And sometimes they know they move before I even say it, right? But that's the type of relationship you should have. Right. So as I transpire that to the military, I always advocate for all our leaders to have a relationship with their soldiers. If you don't know your soldier's first name, you're wrong. You don't know his first name, you're wrong. And that's the type of relationship I drive in the military. Because that what helps me bridge the gap between getting things done on my civilian side, and I want to do the same for the military.
I would say that amongst like other of your peers, you have a breadth of knowledge that a lot of them wouldn't get because you have strategic, assets really at that top part that's kind of like guiding your life, right? And so, and they give you the freedom. We happen to be in a really, really good chain of command that like just allows that freedom of maneuver, to execute the mission. I know that Sergeant K and I like. We really have like no hold, you know what I mean? When we go out to do, like think about like what we're doing here, you know what I mean? Like this is something that we've been fortunate enough to have that leadership that supports, right? So I know that you have that same thing and it's made you a more versatile leader ultimately. You would say so, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So honestly, the CG, because that's my senior rater, he trusts me. That's what it comes down to. Trust. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, it's trust.
Our leadership does trust us. Yeah. I've been to 400 Legged 3 times. There's never been an issue with anybody getting hurt. Any issues with transportation,
definitely
meals, lodging. We go there, we execute, we get the numbers we need, we come back. That's trust.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I first came to this organization, I was kind of, taken aback with it because most of my military career, I've always had leaders that were always just like, they're just, checking in all the time. It's like, where you at with this? Where, so it's just kind of like that micromanaging process, right? And really when I got here, it was kind of like, oh, that's what you're doing? Cool. You know what I mean? Like, just keep me up to date with what you have. And otherwise, like, go out and execute. You know what I mean? I give you the freedom until you prove me differently, right? And I was like, that took a lot to like settle in, because in my mind, I always had to be like, oh, I'm waiting on them to check on me, and it's like, really no message is a good message. You know what I mean? Nobody's really doing that, right? Being an organization like the 311, it has really changed my mind on how the Army structure is, right?
How did that make you feel moving from, a leadership that is checking on you and making sure that you're doing the job, and a leadership that lets you do your work?
For me, I was kind of scared at first, because when you want to know that you're doing a good job, right? In my not to get into, we like to get deep here, right? But like my love language is words of affirmation, right? Okay. So like, that's like my top one, right? Maybe number two. Sometimes it goes back and forth, but usually like words of affirmation is usually me, right? So like, I want to know that I'm doing a good job, right? If I'm in a relationship, I want to know that I'm meeting the needs of that person, right? The same with the organization. That senior leader's telling me that I'm doing a good job, and that's like that little reaffirmation, right? That we're heading in the right direction. And to answer your question, it's taken me focus to really remind myself that what matters is that we tell the Army story. What matters is that I'm taking care of soldiers, right? I have my battle buddy who ultimately I have to take care of, right? That's my soldier, to ensure that he gets what he needs done. Last year we got him into to AOC, got him the things that he needed to progress his career, right? And that's what makes me happy, is to see other people progressing and doing those things. Just like you were talking about taking care of soldiers earlier.
You said something critical though. I don't want us to bypass, right? So for you don't mind, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that with us. Greatly appreciate that. Just a moment, I just want to just talk about. You said it's words of affirmation, correct? That's for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do know you said sometimes we all enjoy being reassured, right?
Right.
But what does that feel like to you when you get the reassurance?
So one thing, it means a lot to me that you talked about your dad, you know what I mean? Because I guess the difference between both of us is like, number one, I think all young men should have their fathers in their life. Me growing up, my dad died before I was born, right? So I never really got that. I did get a great grandfather. I had some great instrumental men in my life, some good, some not so good. But I didn't have that dad really to like reach into my life, right? And so I think early on in my life, I was always cultivating my personality around that person that would try to feed my life, right? And then when that person left or when that person wasn't there, I would kind of like feel like I'm lost. You know what I mean? And like you said, you had your dad from a young age all the way up. So he kind of helped you get to that point of where, okay, son, I'm going to let off the training wheels and I'm going to let you ride by yourself, right? I had a mom. My mom was incredible, right? I give my mom every blessing in the world. I take care of her now, all that good stuff, right? I've been fortunate enough to do that. But it's not the same, right? And that's nothing against her, nothing like that, right? And she knows this. We talked about this a lot. But it's like, I developed that words of affirmation because I was always seeking that. I was always seeking that in my life because I wanted that father figure. When I find leadership that has given me what I've gotten here, I think that's where I want to give my best effort. That's where I want to focus that's why I want to focus everything about what I can do and be intentional with everything that I can do. And this has been a place that, and I left active duty after 10 years, and I came to the reserve side of the house. I didn't know what to expect. You guys have been reserve your whole career pretty much. So for me, it's like, it's a totally different world. But it's been a blessing, to be here. So
100%. So before we go to the next subject, I want to say one thing too, and I appreciate you for sharing that, because I think what it comes back to is that father figure that you had in your life, right? Because he was so rooted in you, the relationship you had, that the words of affirmation coming from him was something totally different coming from someone else, right? And what I'm hearing is that he gave you enough belief in you during that time frame where you might not have had enough, and then when he left, you were trying to look for it in other people. But then you realized, I don't need it from other people, because the moment you believed in yourself, it didn't even matter.
That's right.
Would you go back to active, or you stay in the reserve?
No, man, I think active duty is for some people. I did it. I loved it. But I think, AGR is like the best kept secret in the Army. But I have thought about going to kind of do what you guys do at some point and maybe just doing ADOS. Because look, it all ends at some point, right?
Everyone has expiration date.
Everybody has expiration date,
Everyone has expiration date. That's why it's very important for me in the walk that I have with this uniform on. You got at some point, I won't be able to touch you. You know what I mean? At some point, you won't be able to touch your subordinate leaders. That's why it's critical that we develop these. I call them life skills, right? Because at the end of the day, I can teach you how to turn a wrench. I can teach you how to do an op order, but is that going to help you in life, right? The things that we're talking about, these are life lessons. Transferable skills. You can go anywhere and know that I can believe in me in this position, and I don't need nobody else to give me anything else or tell me anything that I don't already know about myself.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? And that's what makes a difference in people's lives. Very important.
We have a lot of community engagements that we can do, whether, we started an initiative with UCLA. So we're really integrated with their ROTC program there. We do things with the PD, the Santa Monica Police Department, Fire Department. I think we did something down there on the beach with the 155 and the fire trucks and everything that's down there. Like you said, you did beach day, things like that, right? Do you think that we attack the community engagements piece pretty well, or is there something that we could do better here at 311?
I'm gonna be honest. So I think we do a great job, actually. Because there are some R2PC's events that they have where we engage with the local community. But even myself, I don't know if you all know, we actually went to the kindergarten, the kindergarten school, and we talked to the students there and just try to engage with them for Veterans Day.
Yeah, he did a video on it.
Yeah, did a speech and everything. So I do my best to reach out to the community because it's very important because those are our future leaders. Right. And if we can mold them now, just integrate them into the military, as much as they would like, of course, with their parents' approval. Let's make sure we put that out there. Why not? Let's get them started early because they see us as heroes, right? Absolutely. And if you want to be a hero, we're here to help them become who we are, soldiers.
Do you think that so one thing I've noticed, I've always been in the Midwest and the East Coast where military is viewed differently. And maybe it's just awareness because here in LA, most people don't even know that there's an Army Reserve station, and then when they see one of us out in the community, going to a restaurant, what are we getting ready for? You know what I mean? What's going on? Maybe it's just awareness. Maybe we're not as involved as we should be, and maybe we could be a little bit more involved. But have you noticed that?
I've noticed that, but I think it's just a culture here on the West Coast. Okay. I just think that when they see us in uniform, for me, my experience has been great. I will go into what's that grocery store I went to?
That's because you're a handsome guy, man.
And they will buy my food, man. They'll just buy my food. They're nice. Hey, you want to do this for you? Appreciate you. All right, thank you. I appreciate it. But that's nice. It's nice to know that people actually care.
For sure.
So I think in my experience, I think it's just a culture thing. Because on the East Coast, it's not like that.
Okay.
On the East Coast, you just a regular person. You know what I mean? I think it's because they see so much of us. Yeah. That's why it's not as valuable as somebody on the West Coast where they rarely see us. I don't think we have that many bases here in California. What
are some key strategies do you think of when it comes to recruiting, right? To get soldiers involved in the great mission that we have in the Army Reserves. What are some things that you think of, when it comes to helping them see it?
Yeah, I think this generation, what we got to do is going to require a lot more work than it has in the past because we have to meet them where they're at.
Right.
Right. And where they're at nowadays, this generation, the younger generation, TikTok, Switch, Instagram, Snapchat, right? We have to engage with them on those platforms because that's where their attention is at.
Absolutely.
I do believe that some of those, some of those individual students or kids, they will want to join the military. They just don't have the exposure to it. Right. Before when our time when we were growing up, it was all over the commercials because TV was the best thing. You see that Army strong. Oh yeah, I need to see what they talking about.
Be all you can be.
Yeah, be all you can be.
And now it's back.
Yeah, so now we have to engage with them on platforms that they're at. And I think as the Army and the military as a whole, our presence isn't on those platforms.
Yep.
They're not, and we have to come up with some fun and creative ways to engage with those students, those kids. because first of all, awareness is the first thing, right? If they don't know about us, then they don't know about us. They don't even know how they can even sign up. And then once you actually get the awareness, now you have to engage with that, soldier or that future soldier that actually wants to figure out, hey, how can I get more information, right? Sure. I think the platforms that we currently have, you do a great job. I'm not gonna lie, Captain Stroud, you're probably one of the best PAOs that I've ever worked with, right? Even setting this up, this has never happened before. You know what I mean? Y'all might go number one on YouTube. I'm gonna be honest with y'all might go number one on YouTube, right? The first Army platform to go number one on YouTube. This is amazing, but this is a start, right? So if we get more, creative, PAO officers and NCOs to do more stuff like this, engaging on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, I mean, you will see a big uptick in increase for future soldiers who want to sign up. You just got to meet them where they're at.
Yeah, it's like growing. It's really hard, because I've never been like the biggest when it comes to social media and those things like that. Kay is really the person that runs all of those things and gets us the content and things. But it's a lot. We need more qualified individuals to step into those roles, right? But I don't, like you said, it's just the awareness, knowing that they can do it, what's available. But I mean, really thinking about, like, I think about this week, man, is like, not that everybody's going to do a career, but I can't name any other place in the entire world where you get the benefits that we get in our organization, right? Where you get TRICARE, where you get all the health benefits, dental, all those. Try calculating that on the outside. The average family pays like, like $600 every 2 weeks or whatever for a family. You know what I mean? That's money that's dipping into your pay, right? Ours, we get paid on the side, right? But we get all that's covered. And then not to mention all the days that, the holidays that we get off, you get 30 days of leave per year. Then the education benefits, right? It's a little bit different from officer and enlisted, right? Enlisted, they could pretty much go to school for free, right? They don't owe any time. They don't owe anything. Officers is a little bit different, right? There's tons of opportunities, man.
Absolutely.
So just to add up on the question, once we meet the youngs where they're at on TikTok and wherever we can find them, what are the key points that we can talk about? What are the topic that we can tackle to reach them? He mentioned benefits, educational benefits. What else do you think are the topic that can actually reach, can speak to the younger generation we're trying to recruit?
Life lessons. What we're talking about on this podcast, there's a lot of people that's going through a lot of issues that we don't know about, and every day they're wearing a mask, right? If you could have a soldier come into a room and be able to have a safe space where they can actually talk to their leaders about the issues that they're going through, and we actually have some viable solutions for them, man, you got them forever, right? Yeah. Because I mean, we're human. We all have problems that we're going through. I think it will be good too. I mean, look, we in Hollywood. Sergeant K, I know. You had some experience working with Netflix, but how cool would it be if we had a Netflix series on being a soldier in the Army,
like The Office?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
We have episodes and seasons. I guarantee you'll see a boost of uptick in recruitment.
Absolutely, I love that idea.
And then that's where we talk about the benefits. That's where we talk about real life issues. That's where we talk about, hey, I don't have the money. I need to figure out how I'm gonna make it the next week. But this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk to my senior leader about it. See if he can. I'm telling you, people need that in their life. There's a lot of people out here in California that would love to join the military if they were aware of how they can sign up and actually join and make a difference.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we just got to touch those people. We got to reach out to them. You said you need 2 people to help join you on this PAO team, right?
Yeah. I could always use some good.
There's 2 people right now
yeah.
that wants to join this PAO team.
Yeah.
The difference is that they don't have access to you.
Yep.
Right? Why don't they have access to you? Because there's no awareness.
Yeah.
But this podcast, it's going to bring awareness. This is why I'm saying this is critical. What y'all doing right now is bigger than you all know. This is a platform that's going to change lives. The conversations that we have on here are going to change lives. And I appreciate you all for doing this. Yeah. Right? Hey, we in Hollywood. Yeah. We need to do some recruiting. We need to talk to General Sparks, Major General Del Rosso, see if they can advocate for that Netflix series.
That's right.
It's going to change lives.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm telling you, it's going to change lives.
No, I think that they would both be on board for it. You know, it's really it's the resources. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, and when I say resources, it's just like being able to maneuver when we need to, right? There'd be a lot of things that we would have to put on pause in order to shift to that. I think it's well worth it, though. I think it can really make a huge difference.
Let's be honest. The military is never going to go on pause.
It's never going to go on pause.
It's never going to go on pause.
Yeah.
I mean, we may shift priorities.
Yeah.
But it's never going to go on pause.
Or like just you say earlier, get more manpower. I mean, just need more
Yeah, I mean, if
manpower
I could, because like technically, you know, we're supposed to have 2 soldiers in our formation, right? Supposed to have both TPUs, right? Ultimately, either way, I think it could work, bro. You know, I really think it could be a really good thing for us.
You know how the military is, man. It all comes down to a decision. That's why decisions are critical. Because all it takes is one person, the right person, to say, "Hey, Captain Stroud, you got the call. JB, hey, remember that interview? Yeah, I saw the interview that y'all had with Captain Jackson, HHC commander. I love that Netflix idea.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen." That's all it takes is one decision.
For sure.
And next thing you know, things are moving. That's how the military works.
So you know, I like that, JB. We should start working that.
I'm already start writing the script in my head right now.
So with that being said, and we're talking about, you know, some of the great things that, you know, the Army gives, but what's some great things about the 311? Like, what would make soldiers want to come here? Like, what is it that makes us stand out amongst the other ESCs? Because there's a few, right?
311 ESC is the best ESC, hands down.
Yep.
Just look at the metrics, look at the numbers, look at the people. We're a family here. I feel it. I don't know how you all feel it, but I feel it. We're a family. I mean, there's been times where people come to me, like we're walking in the hallways, you know, fist pounding, you know, I mean, you know, just showing love, you know, typically, you know, all right, I mean, this is cool. I know you was that friendly, you know what I mean? But it's okay, because I'd rather you be open with me. We have that relationship. Then everyone feels like standoffish, or they feel uncomfortable. I think the training that we provide is what the soldiers like, because I do feel like every section leader that we have, they care about their soldiers. You see the process that we put in place for pay. You know what I mean? I'm very transparent. I do my best to provide you all the data and access the data. That's one of my things that I've implemented here throughout our processes in HHC, as well as just even all signing actions. Like signing actions, hey, it's my job to make sure that whatever requirements or whatever resources your soldiers need, that I'm taking time out of my day to ensure that I'm doing that in a timely manner. And I think once you actually show the soldiers that you care, they're gonna care. I mean, it's just natural, right? I mean, it's just what you put on the universe is what you're gonna get back. And I think at this point where we're at, I mean, our soldiers, man, from my experience, man, they do backflips for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they understand that I'm willing to do the same for them.
For sure.
So that's what it comes down to, is just the camaraderie, the family-oriented environment. We're all brothers and sisters here.
What are some of the things we got coming up that's on the radar? Some of the cool things we're going to be doing this summer?
Well, we have Mojave Falcon. We have the Staff X coming up. We have individual weapons qualifications. We have our crew serve weapons qualifications. That's what we're doing for the mission. For the soldiers, you know, as you all know, every quarter I have the mental health license therapist come out just to have her presence there, just in case soldiers need to talk to her about something. She's licensed, so that way they have that resources available during battle assembly weekends.
For sure.
What else we got? We got some engagements coming on. We have the military ball coming up, so I want to make sure we fundraise that at least we could cut down the cost for some of those junior enlisted soldiers that can actually participate in the military ball.
I tell everybody, every time I go out to see soldiers, I'm like, hey, look, if you guys join and you're out here, some of the cool things like the public affairs get you guys involved with things like ESPN. I mean, just some big organizations, MSNBC, like they do interviews on soldiers. They did an interview on a soldier who's a gamer for the Army, right? Because we got a gaming division now, right?
That's pretty cool.
There's so many cool things, and like soldiers, you know, they do this stuff on TikTok and stuff like that for their own personal life, but this is a way for them to get like broad stroke, you know, like notoriety, if you will. You know what I mean? So just great overall opportunities. I think that I've seen more soldiers get more opportunity in the reserve than they did in active duty. Because active duty has guidelines. You know, they have to hit these key markers every single month. They have these events that are coming up, Army birthday, whatever. You know what I mean? The reserve is more flexible, right? Because, you know, you have your BAs, you have your ATs, but then in between all that, right, people are living their normal day-to-day lives. and they're just much more flexible to be able to come in and tell their story. You know what I mean? So it's a really great opportunity across the board. I wanted to close with this, right? So what advice would you give to young people that are not focused today, that are inundated with distractions, right? And truly have no purpose?
Well, it comes down to them and where they are in their life. They identify where they are, and it's an integrity thing. Be honest with yourself. Where you are right now and where you want to be is what you don't know. But first, you got to make a decision. Hey, today I'm going to wake up. I want better for my life. They have to make that decision. There's only so much that we can do as leaders until that soldier individually says, hey, I want to be better, right? Because what you don't know is what we will provide. That's our job as leaders, right? So we have to start there. Once they make that decision, right, you have to put yourself around those people who can provide you the resources that you need to be successful, right? Everyone has a purpose. Everyone has a purpose. Everyone has a gift, right? Identify what that gift is. Identify what your purpose is, right? Everybody's walk is different, right? I can only speak from my experience, and I share my story with you all, right? Mine might be different from yours. Yours might be different from the next person. But once you identify your gift and your purpose, some people call it calling, purpose, calling. To me, it's the same thing. Once you figure that out, then everything else will align, right? As long as you're in a position, once you get in that position, and you give 100% to whatever it is that you're doing in that position, everything else will align, right? But it starts with that individual soldier.
Absolutely.
You make that decision for yourself first, and then you provide yourself, you put yourself in a position where leaders can actually see you, because it goes back to what you said. Once you see somebody that want to do better, this is in the military for sure. You see somebody really that wants to do better for themselves, we have this natural ability to just gravitate towards them and help them. That's just what we do as leaders. It's just natural. And we've all been there, right? When you see somebody that really wants to go to the BLC and he's trying to get the paperwork together and he's reaching out, trying to ask different section leaders. I've seen section leaders that's not even assigned to that soldier, help out that soldier. Because that's that energy that he's giving off, it is attracting those people to help him to get to the position that he needs to be. So it's up to that soldier to make a decision first. Make that decision, surround yourself around leaders who can help you get to that area or that mission that you want. Once you get the soldiers or leaderships in your life, and then you align yourself in that position, man, look, sky's the limit. So okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
As long as you can remain focused. Like,
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? You stay focused.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. I'm going to support you. But don't get distracted out here.
Yeah, that's really the lesson for today. Stay focused and stay in your position.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because what I don't want is the opposition to walk away, with people who's listening to this podcast, to walk away saying that the focus is distractions, because that's not the focus. The focus is to remain focused, right? I'm glad you said that, right? It's not about distractions, because that's what the devil will do. He'll try to flip it, he flip the words you use and make it about distractions. You need to be on, how am I going to remain focused?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, hey, listen, this has been awesome, man. I appreciate you coming out and taking some time out of your day. Thank you for sharing your experience, sharing a little bit about your life and your family, and ultimately kind of how this Army Reserve journey has kind of shaped your life, and how it's been inspirational to others. If people want to reach out and find you, how can they find you?
Y'all can find me on my LinkedIn, Johnnie Jackson. That's the best place to find me at.
Yeah,
on
no
LinkedIn.
IG drop.
No IG drop. Just Johnnie Jackson on LinkedIn.
Okay, awesome. And I'm sure you got an email. People want to look you up on Global, things like that, if they're in the service, otherwise.
Yeah.
But yeah, y'all check him out. Johnnie Hayes, appreciate everything you do, man. Great commander. I appreciate your leadership. And we look forward to the great things we're going to do this summer. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Hey, thank you all for having this platform.